background is all in live music. I just got more and more disheartened with the state of live music, because you go and you're kind of just like stuck standing there watching this act, and you can't talk to your friends. The band goes on, you gotta like be right there the whole time. It has gotten boring, and of course there's acts that transcend that, and there's like, I'm not talking down on live music at all. I remember when I first went to USC and I went to Monster Massive, it was big and I was kind of blown away by it, but it was still unspeakable at USC. Like, there was the people that went and the people that didn't.
We were an alternative to the frat row scene at USC, which was only playing top 40 stuff. This is a while ago. A lot of people are like, oh, they don't play top 40s at frat parties. Well, that's because we were there first playing it like 3 years ago, before anyone else was doing it at frat parties. We were doing them large scale, and people were like, this is different, this is an alternative to what we have, which is a dying frat party with top 40s.
Seeing how many people were coming through and how crazy they were going to the music, I think we collectively understood that there was a real big opportunity here to create an alternative scene throughout what was a pretty stagnant social culture at USC. We rented out a venue, through just a really ridiculous underground party. People loved it, went crazy, and we've just been running with it since then.
We have a pretty tight-knit little team of us that's formed around the events. My name is Corey Johnson. I am the producer of DANCEiSM.
My name is Vivek Srinivasan. I handle operations and artist management.
My name is Aaron Surdam. I'm an artist in Robot Love, and I also do art stuff.
My name is Evanomics. I'm one half of Robot Love, and I do a lot of the digital marketing and web design.
Hi, I'm Ben. You can find me at any angle on DANCEiSM. I'll have an idea and I'll be talking to Corey about production. I'll be talking about a business idea to Vivek. I'll have a song idea or want to do some tracks with Robot Love. I'll be talking about the brand and concept of what we want to do with the next dance party, or strategic moves for what we need to do, or I'll just be having fun and just playing around at the event.
Our senior year of college, Ben, Aaron, and I lived in a loft together, a good mile away from campus. These guys all got into DJing music around the same time, a lot of electronic stuff. So we started throwing parties out of the loft we lived at with, Ben and Robot Love and all of these guys just doing DJ sets.
The first moment when we had our first loft party and it was raining and we didn't know if anyone was going to come through. No one was there at 11:30. I had gone and rented speakers and everything, and we had set up shop. And we put a lot of investment into it. We bought all this alcohol and this and that. And then midnight comes and all of a sudden it's slam packed with 150 people, soaked and drenched from the rain, and everyone just wanted to party so hard. I remember one moment where I was just yelling to some song, emceeing while someone was DJing, and everyone threw their hands up and everyone was just going so insane. And there was a definitive moment then when I was like, there's something going on here that is new and fresh and that people want and desire, and it hasn't been captivated, it hasn't been taken to the level that it needs to be taken. People want to have fun on a new unprecedented level that has been largely ignored by the mainstream media and society. So let's give it to them. This is something new, and this is potentially a shift in collective thought. That night, I went on Facebook, I created a secret group called Dance. That created a promotional infrastructure that we needed to then take to the next step, which was then moving it into DANCEiSM. Me and Evan collectively created the name for.
There's a lot of people, but yeah.
Basically, I wanted to call it Dance, but we didn't want to keep it that original, and then Evan said there needs to be an ism somewhere in the new name. And then I said, well, let's just call it DANCEiSM. And then everyone was like, okay, that's cool.
And just for the record, the ISM stands for International Sound Machine.
The standard party you go to, generally The idea is you go, you drink, you dance, and that's pretty much it. So we try and integrate, whether it's body paint or interactive art elements or different things that can allow people to congregate around something abstract and different and really get to meet there, so that it's offering so much more depth to the party itself as opposed to just going, getting wasted, and dancing and meeting one or two random people before you go home. We do warehouse events, we do events within actual venues. The setup and the actual prep for each one is different on an event by event basis.
Everything is thought out, everything is planned.
Right off the bat, you walk in, you see the photo booth right away, you see the body paint table, there's a dance floor and the lights going on, there's a bar on the side, there's toys and confetti and bubbles on the table, there's just like all this stuff, so you present people this enormous amount of options.
The photo booth just doesn't show up right next to the body paint table. The artifact doesn't just hang over the dance floor. That's all planned and placed to work collectively as a whole for creating an environment and for changing the space into something different. Every sentence we write takes at least 5 minutes to complete because we put so much thought into it. Why we're groundbreaking is because we don't do anything necessarily out of the ordinary, but what we do it very well. We call what we do is not a rave. Like, that's groundbreaking. And the fact that we reattribute different things from different scenes, like the crazy cool lights that you may see at a rave, but a different kind of party, like a house party in a different space.
There is the rave elements of crazy production in some urban or abstract venue, but then it has the club elements of a lot of people coming together to dance and mingle. It's got the house party element, kind of simple, fun environment with a lot of your close friends being around you. It even has the little kid birthday elements with toys and confetti and all sorts of little things around. Really, we're kind of creating a hybrid event that no one else has done. We're taking the best elements of every other kind of event and creating this fusion that makes DANCeiSM.
The last major mainstream in the US was hip-hop and rap. And I kind of have this philosophy that the US is always behind on our music. If you look at rock, it had to develop in England and Europe before it really caught on here. And I feel the same is true today, that all of the best electronic music is coming out of Europe, and it's gone westward, and we're the last western point, so it's still baby stages here, just beginning to rear its head. There's still a lot of room in LA. Electro is really intro music for a lot of people to electronic music, because it's got a lot of elements of rock and even hip hop too, with the way people will rap over it and have lyrics. But I think there's a lot of room for growth and more expression as far as electronic music goes.
It's so easily accessible and immediately attainable. You can just get it at that moment and just dance and rock out. It's been a party music for a while. If you're drunk and you're at a party, it's way more fun than listening to top 40 shit. The way that LA is there's so many fragments of populations and groups that aren't even connected necessarily. So there's underground techno going on right now, you know, like with the Droid crew. And then there's like what we're doing, which is a completely separate scene to what some of the Hollywood scenes are doing at like the Playhouse. So the electronic music development or the movement or whatever can be very fragmented in Los Angeles because there's so much space in the city and there's so many different populations that consume it. Hopefully in the coming years there will be a collective effort to kind of move as one towards a much larger electronic scene.
Definitely part of what we're looking to shift, and part of what goes into our open platform mentality is to create a platform that lots of people can come together on and everybody can have a stake in it, and we can put LA on the map as kind of a world-class destination for dance music.
We get most talked about is why we are or aren't a rave. If you look at our 2-year anniversary, it's a perfect example of why we're not a rave. We threw it in a warehouse, we had electronic music, and we had sick lighting and an awesome stage. Okay, so that sounds like a rave, but there was a rave down the street, and that was a rave. And people went to that rave and they said, this is not DANCeiSM, we're at the wrong party. And then they walked down the street and they went to our event. From what I heard about that event is there's a lot of 14-year-olds tripping out on a lot of drugs. It was not a friendly atmosphere. People felt like they were in danger. It was really dirty, really grimy. They had porta potties that were overflowing, and some of them were overflowing onto the dance floor, and it was just a really, really bad setup. And that's not necessarily the best rave, but that's a good example of what a real rave is. It's this illegal thing in a warehouse that is really shady and not necessarily good or welcoming for a lot of people. And so when you come to our event, or that event in particular, it was a much more welcoming atmosphere. A lot more people were just having fun, and it's not necessarily something where everyone's really tripping out on a lot of drugs. What we are trying to focus on and push is this element of fun, and that you can have fun regardless of what you do to yourself. So just go there and just have a lot of fun. Dance, meet people, do things.
A big thing for us is that we don't want to be really taking ourselves that seriously while still pursuing something that we're very serious about. The minute that you start taking it to a point that you're obsessing over it or it's too much, I think you lose sight of the fun and the simple joy of what it is that we're doing and why people are enjoying it. And I think DANCeiSM is kind of the symbol of that. We're not that crazy about this event, but at the same time, we really do care.
DANCeiSM is a retard, too.
That's our figurehead.
I'm so tired of writing Facebook messages like, come to the party, do this. So I just came up with the sporadic thing. It was really, really, really bad. And then Vivek said, you can send the message, and then I'll send him over a draft. And he's like, no, 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 you can't send this message at all. I put it down a little bit. The original DANCeiSM Facebook messages were just too intense, I think, for most people to get. It's just a way of keeping us entertained and keeping the reader entertained, because for one thing, a lot of people stopped reading Facebook messages, I think, in general from events. So we want to spice it up, keep it fresh, and keep on moving. It's a constant cycle.
As far as equipment goes, we use a combination of analog. Just kidding about the analog. There's no analog. It's just, it's purely digital, because digital is God.
My philosophy nowadays is whatever works. If you can make a good song with Logic and computer speakers, then do it. And if you're comfortable with analog, then do it. I don't really think there is a best way. Whatever you're comfortable working with, whatever you can achieve what's in your head. So you can get all the equipment in the world, but as they say, a bad carpenter doesn't blame his tools, and conversely, it's not your equipment that makes your sound good, it's your ideas and your ability.
If there's any producers out there that are like, how do I get to that point? Just start doing it and just do it with what you got. Because like Laid Back Luke, who now flies around the world, he started on Fruity Loops. Like, he was making hits on Fruity Loops, which to people that don't know what Fruity Loops is, it's kind of like the AOL of music production. That's not to hate on Fruity Loops at all, but it's really simple and accessible. Pick it up and start going, because that's the one thing that will stop you, is you thinking that you can't do it.
Probably the biggest challenge is that we were all friends before this started, and we're all still very good friends. But now comes the challenge of being really good friends while working on a project together, that as each day by day passes, we're starting to realize more and more is becoming a reality. This really might be our lives for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's balancing that, but I think in terms of overall drama, it really does help that we were all friends before. I think we all feel truly passionate about this project. And so the success of it, whatever that may mean, is something that we really, really strive for. We want this thing to be something anybody and everybody can enjoy and take part in, because we know what we're creating is something special, but really the challenge is making the general public understand and feel what it is that we feel like we're creating right now.
There's no outside forces affecting us. Everything we do ourselves. We take credit for the successes just as much as we take credit for the failures, and we've had our share of each, but it's all due to what the people working on it have done. I think that's a testament to our work ethic and our chemistry as a team.
I just like to think of things metaphorically. It makes things simpler and also much more complex. I think that with any project that you undertake, such as our project, there is a certain degree of darkness that has to be undertaken to really test your mind, to see who you really are. And that's what makes you stronger, and that's what prepares you for all the challenges ahead. You can't move forward unless you have the experience and the power to move forward. With any project, there has been moments where there has been doubt, there has been fear and anxiety, there has been darkness. but we've made it through all the way. With that, we have become stronger as a whole so that we can move forward and conquer.
Come to DANCEiSM, come experience what it is we're doing.
Oh, believe in dance.